Welcome to Sports Mecca, everyone. My name is Jacob Botter. I'm here today with Cory. It was another great weekend in sports, as it typically is, although that weekend was a little bit rougher if you find yourself a fan of the Tennessee Volunteers.
Oh, yes, it was. That weekend was very, very rough if you're a Tennessee fan, and I cannot wait to dive into the action.
So Tennessee played Alabama this weekend at Tuscaloosa, the number one ranked Tide. It was always going to be a tough game heading in, and that's just how it happened to turn out. Jarrett Garantano was 9 of 16 for 44 yards, a pick, only a 6.5 QBR. John Kelly only had 63 yards rushing on 12 carries. That's a pretty decent yards per carry. It was aided by an 18-yard rush. Not a great performance from Tennessee's offense.
No, it wasn't. And like you said, we've been dealing with this complacency issue all year, and it manifested itself once again on Sunday. Like you said, the Vols have not recorded an offensive touchdown in 14 quarters of play. That is otherworldly in terms of bad.
What did you think of the performance of the defense?
The defense, they fared how I figured they would. They gave up points to Alabama like I should. Alabama didn't run the offensive scheme I thought they would. They ground and pounded the ball pretty much the entire time. But, yeah, pretty much it's what I expected from a Tennessee defense, although the pick six was a nice little jump start.
Right here we just saw Daniel Batuli's pick six. He had 9 tackles on the day, as well as Tennessee's only touchdown in a long time. The last handful of games, the last offensive touchdown Tennessee scored was against UMass. You know, not a great game for Tennessee in general. They were outgained by Alabama 604 to 108 on the day. That is an astounding amount of yards for Alabama's offense, an astoundingly low amount of yards for Tennessee's defense. Cory, what did you see on Saturday?
I saw an Alabama team that continues to prove that they're the best in the country. They have the best defense. They have the best coaching staff. They have one of the best offenses, and they proved that they can win. They can win by throwing the ball, and they proved they can win by running the ball the whole game. So pretty much what I've expected to see out of Alabama, I've gotten.
Right. Jalen Hurts had a very efficient day. He only played the first half, but still was 13 of 21 for 198 yards and a touchdown. Damian Harris had a nice day too, 70 rush yards and a touchdown. Alabama had 4 running backs with 35 yards on the day at least. And Bo Scarborough had 2 touchdowns from the 1-yard line on 2 4th and goals. What a huge turn of events that could have been for Tennessee had those 4th downs gone a different way, had they gone better for Tennessee's offense or for their defense. But instead, Bama walked away with 14 points, and that was really all the momentum they needed for the rest of the game.
And easily, I definitely agree with you. The Vols Alabama, they've capitalized on 4th down every single time they've tried that this season. They're 100% on 4th down conversions, which is unheard of even in college football. But if you're Tennessee, you got to look at the tape, you got to go back to the film room, and you got to come out with a better game plan for Kentucky next week.
So how do you think Tennessee's offense can get back on track? Because you're right, Kentucky is really good this season. They only have 1 loss. This could be a very tough game for the Vols.
Well, I hope I do not offend Butch Jones right here, but I think they've got to go a different direction in terms of offensive coordinator. Larry Scott has not provided that spark that they hoped he would. I really think that they need to go in a completely different direction in terms of this. We've seen this for years, this complacency. It's not changed. Even with Josh Dobbs as the quarterback last year, it didn't change. We need to make a change here, and I think it starts with Larry Scott.
You know, I have 2 main critiques for the Tennessee offense, 2 things I saw in the game. And this first one really isn't just for the offense. It's for the whole team. There were too many penalties committed versus Alabama. We saw what could have been a huge play when a Tennessee player stripped an Alabama player who was about to score a touchdown, knocked the ball out the back of the end zone. It could have been a touchback, but Jonathan Kongbo had a hands-to-the-face penalty, which gave Alabama the ball for 1st and goal from the 1 or the 2, and that's what led to one of those Scarborough touchdowns. So many penalties hurt the Vols so many times. A false start on 2nd and goal from the 1 brought them back. They ended up not scoring on the drive. So many penalties. Of course, the Rashawn Golden unsportsmanlike conduct, probably the most fun penalty of all of them. The one that I enjoyed the most,
probably the most fun moment for a Tennessee fan out of all of them.
Right. And then the other problem I saw with Tennessee's offense is their red zone offense is still not very good. As we said, Tennessee have not scored an offensive touchdown in 14 quarters, not since UMass. And they've been in the red zone a lot of times since that UMass game. They just keep walking away with field goals. Against Alabama, 0 offensive points is not something that will win you very many football games, especially not in the SEC, especially not against Alabama.
And you're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head. We talked about this last time we were on the show. This complacency in the red zone is not something that's going to win you football games. That's the jugular vein. That's where it's cut every single time. Tennessee cannot get in the end zone, and that's something that's very frustrating as a fan to watch, but it's also frustrating for anyone that's just watching the game to watch it, because when you can't convert inside the 20-yard line, your offense has problems, and I think Tennessee needs to address those quickly.
So some bad news today out of Rocky Top. Offensive lineman Jack Jones has retired from football due to a neck injury. Another big blow to to Tennessee's offensive line, but football is such a hard-hitting game. If you have long-term neck problems, it's the right move by Jones to retire.
Yeah, definitely the right move. And my thoughts and prayers go out to Jack Jones and his family. That is a devastating injury, especially when you're this young and you have so many aspirations. But it's right. It's bigger than football. It's bigger than sports. It's not worth risking your life. Jack Jones, best to you. Thank you for everything.
Tennessee's offense will need to improve next week when they play Kentucky. What do you think will happen against the Wildcats this weekend?
You know, I've been back and forth in this since the Alabama game ended on Saturday. Tennessee might have another rough outing. They're going to Lexington against a Kentucky team that is 5-2, which we haven't heard that. I'm sorry. I just think Tennessee might be in for a rough sled.
I think you could be onto something here. Earlier on Sports Mecca this season, actually, I talked about Tennessee's record, what I thought was going to happen with the record. I said they needed to win one of the two games against South Carolina and Kentucky. Of course, they lost to South Carolina. This Kentucky game is a huge step in getting bowl eligible. Mm-hmm. If Tennessee loses this game, their bowl eligibility could be in serious doubt. That's all the time we got for this segment of Sports Mecca. We'll be back in a little bit to talk to you guys about some NFL, about some MLB. The World Series is going on right now, so stick around. You won't want to miss it. Jacob Water, Cory Sanning.